said that if you miss the last train at midnight, you should never take the one that arrives after it. But some people do, and some of them never come back. This story started in a quiet city where the subway closed at exactly 12 a.m. every night. Everyone knew the rule. If you weren't on the train by midnight, you had to wait until morning. One night, a college student named Daniel stayed late at the library studying for exams. By the time he packed his bag and checked his phone, it was already 12:07 a.m. The station clock ticked, stubborn and loud. 12:07, and too late. He ran to the station anyway. The place was empty. The lights flickered above the platform, and the ticket machines were already shut down. A cold wind blew through the tunnel. Somewhere, a warped PA announcement crackled and died. Water tapped steadily from a pipe, counting seconds he didn't have.
Great, he muttered. Now I have to walk home.
Just as he turned to leave, he heard it. A distant metallic rumble. The sound of a train approaching.
That's weird, he said quietly.
Train schedule clearly said the last train had already left. Still, the sound grew louder. Air stirred from the tunnel, cold, damp, alive, pushing a breath across the platform. Then the headlights appeared in the tunnel. The train slowly pulled into the station. The doors slid open with a long metallic hiss. Inside, the lights were dim, but there were passengers. Daniel hesitated. Something felt wrong. No one inside the train was talking. They were just sitting there, perfectly still. He looked around the empty station again. Walking home would take over an hour.
Whatever, he said under his breath.
He stepped inside. The door shut immediately. The train began moving. At first, everything seemed normal. But then Daniel noticed something strange. The passengers, they still hadn't moved. Not a single one. No one blinked. They were just staring straight ahead. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. He tried to ignore it and looked at the map above the door. But the map was wrong. The stations listed weren't the normal ones. A soft chime sounded. "Wrong line," whispered the intercom. On the map, letters seemed to crawl. 13th door. River without end. Final crossing. Silent Street. Last passenger. Daniel laughed nervously.
Okay, that's creepy.
He stood up and walked to the next train car. The doors between cars fought him with a rubbery seal. The second car matched the first. Rows of bodies posed the same way. But when he entered, shoes aligned heel to toe, hands resting at identical angles, a thin fog of breath hanging at the same height. It was full of people, too. He pushed on. Third car. The same stillness answered him, as if the train had practiced a pose. Sitting. That's when one of them moved, just slightly. Her eyes were pale. She stared directly into his face.
And then she whispered,
Daniel's stomach dropped.
What? He asked.
But the woman didn't answer. Instead, every passenger in the train car slowly turned their heads toward him. All at once, the train suddenly screeched to a stop. The lights went out. For 3 seconds, the train was completely dark. In the black, the floor hummed underfoot, like something was breathing through the steel. Daniel could hear breathing all around him. A fingertip brushed his sleeve. He grabbed the cold pole and stayed very, very still. Then the lights flickered back on. The passengers were gone.
Daniel ran to the door and slammed the emergency button.
Train doors opened immediately. He jumped onto the platform and ran without looking back. His footsteps hammered up the stairs. Handheld panic, air burning in his lungs. When he finally reached the station exit, he collapsed outside. Sodium lights hummed over wet pavement. He tasted metal and rain and couldn't stop shaking. The next morning, Daniel told the transit workers what happened. They looked confused.
There are no trains after midnight. We close the gates at 12. You're sure you boarded?
No, I took one last night.
The worker frowned. A corkboard of yellowed clippings, dates, faces, a timeline of things that should not happen. It was dated 1973. The headline read, "Every passenger on board had disappeared. The train was never found." Daniel slowly looked back at the tunnel entrance. And that's when he noticed something that made his blood run cold. His subway ticket was still in his hand, and sometimes, late at night, transit workers say they still hear a train arriving after midnight. The doors open, but no one ever gets off. If you hear it after midnight, don't board.